Hey, my dear, I just finished a new blog post and I'm going to put the link in, but I want to do something different this time because this is a bit of a special blog post. It is an excerpt from my new book. And my new book, the working title is Leading with Your Strength of Character. And it's all about character development in women leaders. And so it's kind of, this blog post is kind of the backstory for why I am so passionate about next week's Cultivating Your Character forum. So I thought what I would do is read this blog post to you because you might get a little bit of a different sense listening to it than reading it yourself. And I am really looking for your feedback. I want to make this upcoming book relevant for you, make it actually work to help you develop yourself and grow yourself to be a better leader. So listen in, read the blog post, and give me your feedback. How to worry less about what you do and plan more for who you are being. Do you often wonder what you have to do to be a better leader? What training do you need to take? What actions do you need to do? And while those are important components of leadership, the critical question is deeper than that. It's not what do you have to do to be a good leader. The question is, who do I need to be a good leader? Be. Yes, be. Who do I need to be a good leader? Take a moment to consider who you are being when you do your job. Anyone can run a meeting, but how do you run a meeting? CEOs, executive directors, and managers communicate with their teams all the time. But how do you communicate with your team? What type of person are you being when you address an employee's poor performance or share positive outcomes with the team? Who are you being when the crisis hits? Who are you being when you do your job is a description of your character. It's the essence of who you are. And when was the last time you had a conversation about developing your character? Or when did you last consider why it might be important to develop your character? And have you ever wondered how to develop your character? For most of us, the answer is never. Perhaps it's time to. Your character is your unique combination of who you are. It's your personality traits, your values, your visions, etc. And no two of us are the same. The problem is we don't think about who we are being or our character. Instead, we follow the model of leadership that's been passed down for generations. And honestly, most of us don't fit into that model. So what happens is we don't feel like ourselves when we're trying to lead. We're so often unaligned with our authentic selves. There's this wide chasm between what we think we should be doing and who we truly are. And that leaves us floundering somewhere in the middle, not very happy. If you take time to develop your character, you will feel happier, more fulfilled, and content. It's because instead of stepping into the role and trying to lead the way you should, you will learn to lead from your character strengths. Instead of feeling like you have to put on a mask or a persona when you lead, it will feel genuine and it will be more effective. Leading with your character strengths lets you feel more authentically you from the time you get up in the morning till the time you go to bed at night. But see, most of us aren't truly aware of who we are at our core. In the hustle and bustle of growing up, raising families, and advancing our careers, we've lost sight of ourselves. Many of us don't really know what makes us tick. We're not sure what drives us. We don't know how to use our best gifts and talents to lead because, quite frankly, we don't even know what our best gifts and talents are. We've never done the work to uncover them, discover, or awaken them. Once again, I asked you to think about how we describe other people. Once again, I ask you to think about how we describe other people and consider for a moment how others might describe you. Pay attention to the word character in each of these sentences. Often we describe someone's character in general statements such as, I admire their character. We might say someone has sound character. In a tongue-in-cheek kind of way, we might chuckle saying, boy, she's quite the character. At other times, we might whisper to a friend suggesting, that was out of character for her. Alternately, we groan as we watch someone do something and say, she's just damaged her character by doing that. Now, think about specific descriptions about other people's character traits. Consider again about how people might describe your personality or character traits. These are some ways we speak in awe of certain women's characteristics. She's so reliable. I love her honesty. What grace she has. That is a woman of integrity. Such determination and persistence. I appreciate her ability to be decisive. She has a clear head on her shoulders. Don't forget, not all character traits are good. Reflect on this list for a moment. These are times we cringe at character traits that some women exude. She's so cold. I can't trust her. She's condescending and demeaning. I hope you're now starting to see how important it is to cultivate and develop your character. A little overview. Your character is your unique combination of traits that makes you distinct from others. It's how others perceive you, though, not how you describe yourself. Let me say that again. Your character is someone else's perspective of you. It's not how you see yourself and wish others would see you. You certainly can influence and impact what others think about you, and you should. Ultimately, though, how others describe your character is their perception, which makes character development a bit tricky. Perhaps you're wondering if character development is about getting people to like you. No, it's not quite that. Your job as a leader is to guide people to a vision by inspiring them to grow and help them develop Your job as a leader is to guide people to a vision by inspiring them to grow and to help them to develop so that they can reach that vision that you have decided together. Your job as a leader is to guide people to a vision by inspiring them to grow and to help them to develop so that together you can reach that vision. It's your influence and impact on people that can motivate them to be their best selves, which is incredibly important to help teams and organizations reach goals and to serve clients. To achieve that level of impact on others, it's certainly easier if they like you. But still, it's less about people liking you and more about people respecting you. Your character is so important because it influences what people think about you and therefore the impact that you have on them. When your character is strong, you have a good reputation. It's that reputation that garners others' respect. Note here, someone doesn't have to like you to respect you. The two do not always go hand in hand. It's respect, though, that allows your team to be patient with you, persistent for you, and push through. They respect you often because they believe in you and your message, which is inextricably. They respect you often because they believe in you and your message, which is intertwined with your character. They will conduct themselves in a way because you've inspired them and motivated them by your actions, your conduct, and the type of person you are. People define your character by your conduct. It's your interactions with them that impacts what they think of you. But what they think about you is not the end point. Their opinion of you is only the catalyst for their behavior. Your actions, your conduct, in essence, your character in any given moment will influence them in one direction or the other. They will either take positive action or negative action. If you've just been short with your team during a staff meeting, your actions, tone, and the message may leave a bad taste in their mouth. Now, they have a couple of options here. They can head over to the water cooler and whisper about what time of the month it is for you. If that doesn't feel like a good idea, they might just head back to their office, keeping their head down and staying out of your way. Back in the safety of their office, they'll procrastinate, check their news feed. The chances that they're going to take positive action to get you and everything back on track is slim to none. They may be motivated to get the report done that was late or pulling the reins a little bit tighter on their team. But consider the tone they're now going to do that with. I doubt that they'll be enthusiastic, eager, or engaging. Now, I'm not suggesting we need to be chipper all the time, but as you'll see, it's the sum of your actions and behavior over time that creates how others define your character. The problem is, how you conduct yourself in stressful times tends to outweigh other people's memory of your conduct during smoother times. Therefore, we need to be more diligent about our behavior during crisis. Much of our actions are automatic, though. Our behavior is habitual, reactionary, or rote. We don't think about it, we're not conscious of it, and often it's unchecked emotions that run the show. If we're mad, we snap. If we're annoyed, we're short with someone. If we're running out of time, we don't bother to look up, acknowledge them, or take a moment to see what's going on. But that kind of behavior does not create strong followers. It doesn't develop leadership in our employees. Instead, it creates a toxic work environment. That kind of conduct creates a culture where people are just putting up with things until they can go home or move on to the next job. While it's easy to point out another's characteristics, recognizing our own is sometimes more difficult. Even more challenging than that is defining and developing the type of characteristics we want to develop in ourselves and lead with. In fact, you might be a little bit skeptical now, questioning how you can develop your character. I'll be honest with you. Character development is not easy work. Developing character takes time and attention. It requires you to be willing to be vulnerable and explore the messy and painful places of your life. Not just once, but again and again. Allow me to let you in on a little secret. We try and mold other people's character all the time. It's easiest to see with children. Parents aim to make their children nice, kind, responsible, caring, disciplined, or generous. How do they do that? By teaching them, role modeling for them, and correcting them. The same is true for you. If you want to develop your character, you're going to need to do 3 things. Teach yourself about character traits, find role models to guide your journey, and allow yourself to fail and learn from your errors. What do you need to do now? You need to start teaching yourself the language of character traits. Start by watching The Science of Character. I'll make sure you have the link for that. It's an 8-minute documentary that just gives you a background understanding of how the character's traits have been developed and how they all fit together. Then, go and assess your character traits. Use the VIA Signature Strengths Test to get a sense of what your top character traits are. And to find some mentors, join next week's online forum, Cultivating Your Character, where we are going to explore what is character, why is it so important, and how the heck do you do that? Because when you start to cultivate your character, when you develop those character traits in you, you'll let go of those masks and those facades that you've put in, and you'll start to lead more authentically. You'll start to just lead as yourself. And what's going to happen? You're going to be happier and more effective. Strengthen your character, and you'll be a stronger leader.